the days ahead do look brighter than the days behind us. However, it depends on what exactly we choose to do. So the CBN's concern today is, what should be their priority? Should it be the exchange rate, or should it be managing inflation? And so let's also talk about inflation. Another thing that people talk about when they talk about the exchange rates. The evidence again from even the National Bureau of Statistics. Look at the first 20 months. Food inflation, let's be specific. Food inflation, first 20 months of President Obasanjo. The facts show food inflation rose by 12%.
Okay, we'll take the other parts when we return. Join us again. All right, go ahead and give us the two other items we're going to focus on.
So here's the evidence. Food inflation, first 20 months of President Obasanjo, 12%. Food inflation, first 20 months of President Goodluck, that went 19%. Food inflation, first 20 months of President Muhammadu Buhari, 24%. And all these are facts from the CBN. However, does this mean all the blame should lie or should be put at the feet of the president? No. And I'll explain why. But before then, let's see even the history of why inflation means a lot. And today we have, we know that the population is highly religious. So it makes me easily remember the
what do you mean religious?
the verse in the Bible, Matthew 25:14, whereby it talks about the story of a master who had given 3 of his servants 5 talents. I will have given this to you if you could reach me, but I'll just keep it here and keep it for you. And let's assume I gave, just like the master did, gave Gimba 2 talents, and we'll give the last 1 talent to Marco, even though she deserves more than that.
Why does her talent look like the foreign exchange?
Oh yes, because we'll also get to the foreign exchange back shortly.
Okay.
So we've got 5 talents, 2 talents, and 1 talent. So the story goes. And the 5 talents got rewarded, invested, and he yielded another 5. The 2 invested and yielded another 5. However, the 1 didn't yield, and the master was upset. But here's the question: why was the master upset? And the master was upset because the servant with the 1 talent did not give him any interest on his 1 talent. Why did the master want interest? One word: inflation. So the master was upset because there was even inflation way back. We also even have so many examples of the significance of investment, even in the Quran. Surah 48:29. You see the story of the sower. So investments or inflation and investments do mean a lot to Nigerians, either Christians or Muslims.
Is it very likely that with these policies now by the government, we're likely to see a cut down on inflation rates?
What we know today is inflation rates has a higher correlation to the exchange rates than inflation rates has a higher correlation to the exchange rates than even the external reserves.
Okay.
So if the government does focus on managing the exchange rates or managing the inflation rates, we will see more impact. So here's, in simple terms, it simply means whatever will happen to the exchange rates will be determined by what we choose to focus on.
Like, I mean, people could argue about some of the factors responsible for some of those figures we saw in those 3 different 20-month period. What is this you see about this net invisible imports?
And so we want to look at part of where do we spend most of our foreign exchange on. So the evidence shows, if we bring up The evidence shows a lot of our foreign exchange based on the evidence from the CBN, goes into physical products, yes, which is expected. However, the challenge is the number one item that we spend our foreign exchange on is the importation of oil.
Okay.
And that is where the concern is. That's crude oil. Or refined petroleum products, rather. A lot of money goes into bringing in refined petroleum products. However, just before we leave, a lot of things also have to be. So one is we need to make money and we need to manage that, but we shouldn't just focus on how much we have. We should also look at how much we're owing.
All right, we appreciate your comment this morning. Babajide Ogunsanwo, data and information analyst. And that's the show today. Thank you all for watching. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
Thanks for watching. I'm Gimba Umar.
And I'm Mal Kwelgon, thank you.